And it's like, we're live, everybody! So that's kind of what it's going to be like for the next minute here. Awkward transition time here. Me, growing up very fast over the past 5 years. And we're just so grateful as a family to see all of you here, taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us in what we hope will be a very special and memorable evening. You will laugh, you will cry, you will donate lots of money. And if you're a crier, for those in the room, there are Kleenexes in your swag bag, so you can grab those if you need them. So compliments of Crest Funeral Services. So thank you for providing those for us today, for those of you who are criers like me. So this event for our family has evolved into something that started as a celebration of our daughter's birthday. Our daughter that should be here, Alana Rose Whitmore, who was stillborn on Tuesday, February 26th in 2019. Our daughter Alana was the most precious angel I could have ever imagined. She was born at 3:14 a.m., 4 pounds, 1 ounce, and 18 inches of beautiful. She was stillborn, and many of you in this room and listening online know what that word really means, how hard it is, and the journey that you have for the rest of your life moving forward when you lose a child, a baby loved so much. So much. Alana is still loved. She's still missed. She's still remembered. She was stillborn, but still born. This year, Alana would have turned 5. Happy 5th birthday to our baby girl. This image here was AI generated by a friend of mine, Hazel Jones, who's watching online, hopefully, of what our daughter may have looked like if she were still here today. And when I first saw this image, I couldn't stop staring at it. I couldn't stop crying. I might cry now, sorry. Just imagining what she should be like, how different our lives would be, how different our families would be. And so we celebrate her today. And so I want to take a moment just to wish our daughter Alana a happy birthday. And I'm going to do that with a throwback from our first annual butterfly ball of our son Quentin playing the viola 5 years ago to wish his baby sister a happy birthday. For those of you who have joined us in person, we were blessed to hear the Sun Prairie Jazz Ensemble during the cocktail hour. And my son Quentin is now a freshman in high school, about twice the size as he is from this video. And he is an amazing musician, and you got to all experience that today, and I'm grateful for that. So here is a birthday wish from Quentin to his baby sister. Let's give it up for Quentin. Make sure you tell him how much you like that, because he was very embarrassed that I was playing it for all of you again today. So make sure you let him know. So our theme this year is Over the Rainbow. And our theme this year really has multiple personal meanings and reasons why we have this theme. So many people in this room and listening online know that the term rainbow baby refers to a baby that is born after a loss. And this is a very difficult subject to talk about, because for many families, they won't get their rainbow baby. Some families will, but it will not be an easy thing. To go through pregnancy after loss is very difficult, and there's often a dark side to that rainbow that we don't often talk about. And so we're going to shine some light on that this evening. And then we also want to elevate the unique challenges that are faced by our friends in the LGBTQ plus community, who face additional challenges and barriers in the conception journey, as well as seeking resources and supports after loss. And so we're very grateful to have several speakers this evening that are going to help us to understand sort of what's behind this rainbow as we move forward. Reflecting on this theme was really hard for me, because I'm very blessed that my son Christian is a rainbow baby. I had 2 early losses between my boys, and so he's my rainbow. But I will never have a rainbow after Alana. And that really sinks in preparing for this night tonight. But as I've been reflecting on it, the one thing that kept coming back to me is that this foundation is my rainbow baby. The work that we get to do to support other families who experience pregnancy and infant loss is what we get to nurture and grow in the absence of our daughter being here with us. And so we're grateful for all of you helping us to raise our baby together. It truly takes a village to do the work that we do, and it's so amazing to have all of you here tonight to join us. So I want to share a little bit about what we do in the Alana Rose Foundation for those of you who aren't as familiar. The mission of the Alana Rose Foundation is to raise awareness and provide hope, healing, and support to families who experience pregnancy and infant loss. We do a wide variety of programs, and I'm going to skim through them, but encourage you to check out our website to learn more about these opportunities, and reach out if you're interested in getting involved, volunteering, or supporting in any way. The first initiative we have is our Angel Gown program, where we receive donated wedding dresses and transform them into beautiful burial gowns for babies. We also collect money and raise funds to support the purchase of cuddle cot cooling systems for local hospitals and community-based doula support services, so that when a family goes through the tragic loss of a baby, they are given the gift of time with that child's body that allows them to create memories and supports the healing process after a loss. This is a picture of us during COVID times, gifting our cuddle cot to Meritor Hospital, and we're so grateful for Meritor's team to be here today, and all the nurses that have joined us from Meritor. We also run a monthly virtual support group called Morning Coffee. We do a lot of education and advocacy efforts. This is a picture of me and Alana at the Capitol advocating for the stillbirth tax credit. There's lots of policies and programs that are needed to better support families who experience loss, and we try to do as much as we can to advocate for that. We also work on raising awareness. This is my boys on a radio show. We try to take advantage of any media. Spectrum News came out with a story today, so check out Spectrum News 1 for the story they did today and around this ball. And then a very special project we have is our 1,000 Cranes project. This is actually something that was started by our son Quentin, who was only 10 years old when Alana died. As a child navigating grief, one of the things that he wanted with his whole heart was for his sister to be here. And he came to me one day and said that he had researched how to grant wishes and learned about the legend of the 1,000 cranes, where if you create 1,000 origami cranes, you are granted a wish from the gods. So that year, he worked tirelessly to make his 1,000 cranes, and we now sell those cranes as crane ornaments to help raise funds for our organization. And this year, we have a special limited edition of rainbow cranes, so encourage you to check those out and purchase those if you're here in person, or online if you're joining us virtually. We also have the opportunity and honor to help elevate stories of love and loss of local families who experience loss. And this is our sweet baby Zaire from one of our stories that we've shared. And we partner with Healing Our Hearts and Amir's Angels to support the annual Empty Stroller Awareness Walk around the state capitol to help raise awareness about the fact that 1 in 4 families experience loss. We also have an International Wave of Light, October 15th every year, which is International Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. And with proceeds from events that we've had, we've been able to grow our burial support program where we offer financial assistance to families who experience loss, knowing that when you lose a child, the last thing you want to worry about is how you're going to pay for their funeral. At our last event, we announced the soft start of a capital campaign to create the Butterfly Garden, a healing retreat where we have a place to grow and transform after loss. And we're still working on that initiative, and there'll be more information coming soon. We're in the quiet phase of that capital campaign, but as we continue to grow and develop that, stay tuned for opportunities to support that campaign as well. And so all the work that we do is really geared towards transforming families after loss. We envision a world where all families who experience pregnancy and infant loss receive the love and support they need throughout their grief journey, so they may ultimately be transformed by their experience in a way that promotes hope and healing. And that's what you guys are doing here tonight. Whether you're joining us in person or online, you are helping to break the silence around pregnancy and infant loss, say our babies' names out loud, honor and celebrate the joy and the pain that coexists when you lose a child. And so again, we thank you for being here today, and we encourage you to stay connected to the Alana Rose Foundation moving forward. So with that, we're going to move on to our first speaker of the night. We're really grateful for the partnership we have with Public Health Madison and Dane County. They helped to put together the data slides that those of you in person saw during the cocktail hour to help us better understand the data around these issues. And I'm going to invite Nicole Morales up to this podium so that she can share a little bit more to you this evening. So thank you so much, Nicole.
Good evening. I need a step stool, y'all. Good evening. Again, my name is Nicole Morales. I'm an epidemiologist for our local public health department, Madison and Dane County. Thank you so much to Kim and the Alana Rose Foundation for bringing us all together this evening to celebrate families and to raise awareness about such an important issue that is impacting families across the county. I'm going to be sharing just a little bit of data about what's happening locally, and also talk just a little bit about what public health is doing to prevent pregnancy and infant loss. So Dane County sees about 30 infant deaths each year and about 25 stillbirths every year. We see very persistent and unacceptable disparities between racial and ethnic subgroups year after year in Dane County. We know from the data that American Indian and our Black and African American babies experience higher levels of mortality compared to Dane County babies overall. This is a figure of infant mortality over the past decade, with Dane County represented by the gray dots, and our American Indian and our Black and African American babies represented by the gold and the green dots. And in fact, mortality for Black, African American, and American Indian babies is more than double the countywide rate and more than double our national goal, which is 5 infant deaths or less per every 1,000 births. In contrast, white, Asian, and Pacific Islander babies experience pretty similar levels of mortality compared to Dane County babies overall, and even less lower rates of mortality for some years. Finally, we also know that mortality among our Hispanic and Latino babies is also higher than Dane County babies overall, and have actually experienced a pretty significant increase over the past decade. We know that systemic issues such as poverty, food insecurity, inadequate housing, and discrimination in healthcare settings underlie these disparities in infant mortality. We all know these challenges are not happening by chance. They are the result of the way that systems are designed to help folks or not help folks. We also know that mortality among babies who are born too early or too small is higher. And in fact, from the data, we know that more than 1 in 10 Black and African American babies here in Dane County are born before 37 weeks. Dane County is also home to a very large and thriving LGBTQ community. And though we don't have a lot of data on queer people's pregnancy experiences and birth outcomes locally, we know from national data that queer women are 2 to 3 times more likely to experience a stillbirth compared to cisgender straight women. Even less is known regarding the birth experiences of trans men, non-binary, gender fluid, and gender diverse people. But we do know that trans and gender diverse people face substantial barriers in receiving supportive and inclusive pregnancy and postpartum care, as well as grief support when they do experience a loss. So what is public health doing to address these challenges? We know that the factors that surround infant deaths and stillbirths are often complex because they involve so many different systems. So public health coordinates our local fetal and infant mortality review, or FEMR. And FEMR meets 4 times a year to review every single infant death and stillbirth in Dane County. The people who comprise this committee come from many different sectors, including a lot of folks here in this room, from public health, health systems, midwives and doulas, social workers, and community members who themselves have experienced infant or pregnancy loss. And the goal of this review committee is to identify factors that may have contributed to deaths and to identify and recommend strategies for action. And the goal is really systems level changes. This leads us to what we call FEMR Action Networks, or FANs. These are responsive to the discussions that come up during case review. They're meant to be fast acting. They pull cross-sectional, cross-systems teams together to tackle an issue. Public Health is also a member of the Dane County Health Council, which is comprised of our local health systems and community partners. And in 2018, the Health Council partnered with the Foundation for Black Women's Wellness to understand the root causes of the poor birth outcomes for Black families in Dane County. The project brought the voices of the people most impacted by this issue to the table as an active partner in identifying solutions. Their recommendations resulted in a published report and an initiative called Saving Our Babies. And a big piece that's come out of Saving Our Babies work is ConnectRx Wisconsin, which is a care coordination system. Black pregnant women and birthing people are screened for social determinants of health, like food insecurity and housing instability. Those who screen positive and provide consent are referred to ConnectRx, a workforce of community health workers and doulas, again, many of whom are in this room, who provide additional assistance and support throughout pregnancy and postpartum. Preliminary data from this past year is showing that this work is having a real impact for Black families, and also there is still so much more work that we are doing together. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole. Next, I want to invite up Rebecca Markert, who is going to share her story, Expecting a Rainbow After the Storm. Come on up, Rebecca.
Thank you and good evening. What's in this box? That was the question that my 4-year-old asked me as he picked up my first baby's urn and shook it like a rattle. With the metal coin, which identified the cremains inside, shaking loudly inside it. To those people who haven't experienced loss or those who aren't parenting after loss, what my son did that day shocks them. There are audible gasps and horrified faces when I tell them what this story was. But for me, it's not unusual or even horrifying. It didn't even actually surprise me. In fact, it was the fourth time I had to explain to one of my living children that the box that sits on my nightstand, the one that's cuddled by a white bear, is actually an urn. It was the fourth time I had to explain what an urn is, and that this urn contains the ashes of his big sister, Lily, a baby who came before him, a baby who died before she lived, a big sister like his other big sister, Audrey, but one that he would never meet and one he would only know through me. But also a big sister whose brief existence in our world shaped our family and his world indelibly. This is parenting after loss. When you lose a baby in pregnancy or infancy, you become quite accustomed to explaining things like stillbirth, cremation, urns, and even that babies sometimes die to children. Hard truths about life that can be really hard to grasp at 4 years old. And if I'm quite honest, truths that are really hard for me to grasp at 47. Jackson, my 4-year-old, is one of my 4 children born after my baby Lily was stillborn. A rainbow baby is a baby born after miscarriage, stillbirth, or infant death. And actually, because he was my 4th subsequent pregnancy and my last, he is known in our house as my little pot of gold baby. The one at the end of my pregnancy journey, my rainbow pregnancy journey. And it was also fitting since he was born just 3 days before St. Patrick's Day. Lily was my first baby, my first ever pregnancy, the pregnancy that made me a mom. She was born far too soon at only 20 weeks and 1 day gestation. I went into preterm labor due to a uterine abnormality and an incompetent cervix. And there was nothing that the doctors could do to stop it. The only thing they could do was wait with me while I, who had never been to a labor and delivery class, learned how to labor and deliver for the first time, knowing that the inevitable outcome was death. She was born without a heartbeat at 9:30 p.m. on Mother's Day in 2010. The trauma of her birth, the shock of her death, and the grief that followed shook me to my core. I wasn't sure of anything after that. Before her, I naively thought that you grew up, got married, and had a baby. It was as simple as that. But now I wasn't sure if I'd ever get to bring a baby home. I didn't know if my body could even carry a baby to term, and if the big family that I had dreamed about for so long would even be possible. But I also really, really wanted it. I knew that we would try again because we had to. This couldn't be my ending. Because of my uterine abnormality, I couldn't quickly go on to conceive again. My condition would risk recurrent losses without surgical correction. And I was a lucky one. My defect for my uterus was easily corrected by surgery. I had that surgery, and by fall in 2010, we were told we could try again. A friend of mine and the founder of Pregnancy After Loss Support, also known as PALS, a nonprofit organization out of Minnesota, wrote, "Pregnancy after loss is the hardest thing I've done after burying my child." And I cannot emphasize how true those words are. Pregnancy after loss is one that's emotionally complex, often involving conflicting feelings. You feel joy and fear, worry and excitement, anxiety and overwhelming love. The death of a baby in pregnancy and infancy is also traumatic. And so another pregnancy inevitably brings PTSD. Triggers abound from gestational milestones to preparing for the baby's arrival. It can be the longest 40 weeks of your life. In 2011, that was my life. I was pregnant again, but it wasn't the blissful, joyful pregnancy that Lily's brief pregnancy was. It was anxious and scary. I'd only ever known pregnancy to end in tragedy. I thought only in ifs, not whens. If this baby is still alive at the next appointment, I think I'll buy a onesie. If the baby makes it to viability, maybe we can talk about getting a crib or looking at a car seat. If the baby makes it to 32 weeks, I might let you throw me a baby shower. I didn't want to do anything that would jinx my pregnancy. I didn't want to buy anything under the assumption that I'd have a live baby at the end of all of this. I would have been happy to go into hiding for 9 months and emerge with a baby in my arms. At least then, I wouldn't have had to deal with the people who assumed that because I was pregnant again, I was obviously over Lily's death. And that somehow my next pregnancy gave me a happy ending to this horrible story. Or that because I had no other children tagging along behind me, that this one was my first. At every prenatal appointment, I would have them check the baby's heartbeat first, before anything else, because there was no reason to carry on with the appointment if we didn't have a heartbeat. I'd call my mom after every single appointment and say, well, the baby's still alive. And one day she finally said, why do you say that every time? Stop talking like that. You know this baby is not going to die too. But I didn't know that actually. I only knew that nothing was guaranteed. It was very hard to experience joy. During that time, I was also seeing a therapist who challenged me as to why I wasn't letting myself experience the joy and excitement of a new baby. She asked me, would it really hurt less? If this baby dies too, do you think it would really hurt less because you didn't celebrate? Because you didn't bond? Because you didn't take pictures of your pregnant belly? And of course, the answer was no, it wouldn't. So she challenged me to let myself get excited over a new baby, to experience joy of being pregnant again, even if it was just for 10 minutes a day, even if it was just in the quiet of my house with no one else around. And my baby Dexter was born happy and healthy in October 2011. He was a beautiful rainbow baby. The one who, when he was placed on my chest after delivery, melted into my chest, giving me this warmth and feeling of a hug. It was almost as if he knew I needed that all along. Of course, this isn't where my story ends. It was just the beginning of my rainbow journey and the work that I continue to do today. In 2013, I became pregnant again. For some, the second pregnancy after loss isn't as nerve-wracking as the first, and I wanted to believe that that would be true for me too. I had less time to focus on the pregnancy now that I had a toddler running around, but that also actually gave me a reason to avoid the pregnancy and any feelings that I had about it. This time, the pregnancy was different than my first two. My cervix didn't react the way it had previously. And I remember very vividly at 23 weeks, when I had a doctor's appointment, the doctor, who was not familiar with our story, came bouncing into the exam room, announcing to me that everything was perfectly normal. And I burst into tears. I sobbed, the kind of crying where you can't actually talk. And I tried to explain to her that I didn't know how to do normal. I finally admitted that despite doing all of this again, I was still scared. I was 50-50 in bringing babies home. I had had 2 pregnancies and only 1 living child. To me, it felt harder somehow. To her great credit, she spent almost an hour with me, calming me down, listening to my story, and then she gently suggested that maybe I should start therapy again, which I had stopped after Dexter was born. And she asked about my other support people in my community. Fortunately, during that time, I was also connected with a woman from Bereaved Parents of Madison, the local support group here in town, who was also expecting again. We started chatting and eventually decided that what we needed was a sort of support group for us, women who were expecting again after loss. We knew a few others who were also pregnant at that time and thought maybe we could all go grab lunch or get some decaf coffee or tea. And 5 of us began meeting pretty regularly. We were all due around the same time, dates spanning from August through October. We shared our love stories over lunch, talked about our children, both living and dead, over breakfasts and coffee. We braved shopping at Motherhood Maternity together. We started a Facebook page called Rainbow Pregnancies of Madison, where we'd post pictures of things we bought our babies. Reports from appointments were posted. We supported each other, something that we actually continue to do to this day. In fact, one of those moms is here with me tonight as my date, Casey. Her rainbow Ted was born just 2 weeks after my Audrey. The rainbow moms and babies born from that group were the ones that started the Rainbow Pregnancies of Madison, which has now become a part of Bereaved Parents of Madison. And now, of course, it's more formalized, and we have formal support groups every fourth Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. Our Facebook page is still the same, offering support to women who are expecting again after loss 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've hosted yoga retreats and have had family picnics to celebrate these babies and our families. And literally hundreds of rainbow babies have been welcomed into the world through this group. Bereaved Parents of Madison has a table with information about RPOM on it if you're interested in learning more. Supporting families expecting again after loss has become a labor of love for me. Not only do I work here locally, but I serve on the board of PALS, a national nonprofit organization whose mission it is to ensure that every mom and her partner experiencing pregnancy after loss is able to find and support connection among peers, healthcare professionals, and those who understand and validate the unique and complex experience of pregnancy after a previous perinatal or child death. I'm a contributing writer to their online magazine where I've shared stories about my 3rd and my 4th pregnancies after loss. And I have to say, I feel a little guilty because I'm not going into their birth stories, but I'm hardly mentioning Owen at all, but he was my 3rd baby born after loss. But we don't actually have enough time to go into all of them. But PALS also has an app for families who are expecting again after loss. It's kind of like what to expect when you're expecting, but from the perspective of a PALS parent. It includes things like, this is what size fruit your baby would be, and also articles with tips on how to get through the 20-week ultrasound or how to bond with your baby after losing a previous one. Their resources are invaluable, and I would urge you to take a look at the table we have back there about PALS and see what they have to offer. Before I close for tonight, I do want to acknowledge that I definitely am a lucky one. I lost Lily, but I was able to bring home 4 beautiful babies. I got the big family that I wanted. My house is full of love and joy. And while not a day goes by where I don't think of Lily, I know that the way that I love her siblings and the way that I parent them is because I loved her first. One of my favorite authors, Elizabeth McCracken, wrote in her memoir, which is a love letter to her rainbow baby, "The love for the first magnifies the love for the second, and vice versa." And I believe that that only continues the more children you have. But I'm also aware as a support person for families in our community that not everyone gets to experience this. Sometimes pregnancy after loss results in more pregnancies that are lost. Some need to look to adoption or surrogacy to bring their rainbows home. And some, whether by choice or not, do not get to bring one home. And I want to acknowledge their journeys here as well, as we do in the Rainbow Pregnancies of Madison space and with PALS and with the Alana Rose Foundation. So thank you to the Alana Rose Foundation for giving me the opportunity to talk about this experience of pregnancy after loss. And I really hope that we raise a lot of money in Alana's memory tonight. I remember 5, and it was a hard year. So thank you so much for your support and for listening.
Thank you again, Rebecca. And again, a reminder for those who are in the room to check out Bereaved Parents of Madison's booth over in the corner. Next, I am honored to invite 2 speakers to come up. Danny and Renee are a special family that I've been introduced through a mutual friend, and I'm so grateful for them being willing to share their story. Gone tomorrow, baby loss as a queer family. So welcome you both to join us on the stage.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting us to speak. It is really an honor to be here among all of you, knowing that you are people who can relate to some of our journey. So thank you very much. So my name is Renee Livingston Deteen. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And among other things, I am a local poet and author, as well as my regular day job as a substance use counselor. And I don't think that my story is really much different from a lot of stories people get up here and tell. For me, what's different about my story is that it spans a long time and 2 relationships. So for over a decade, I've been dealing with the infant loss community sort of peripherally. But it's still the same story of loss and grief that we are all way too familiar with. Central to my story are a few facts. Number 1, I'm queer. I've had relationships with people who identify in many different ways, and I don't see a particular distinction regarding gender in relationships. That's me. I do have a history of other trauma in my life. I share that not for empathy or pity, but because it was very much the lens through which I experienced my losses. And 3, I was blessed with a beautiful daughter in 2012 as a single mom. That was not an easy road, but I am keenly aware that I've always had my firstborn, and that is a singular blessing. So when I was 39, I found myself in a stable relationship with my then partner, Stephanie. I was doing well, job-wise and health-wise, and only one thing seemed to be missing: a shared child. So, money being tight, we decided to ask a friend of the family to be a known donor for us. This is a really common pathway for a lot of queer families. And fortunately, he agreed. And much to our surprise, after doing our first home ICI, my very first test came back positive. Now, this wasn't completely shocking. We knew I'd already had a child, and so we expected everything to go along much as it had with my first child. Unfortunately, about 14 weeks into the pregnancy, when we went for our gender reveal and genetic testing ultrasound, it was very clear that something was wrong. About 2 days before that ultrasound, I had felt a little sick, and then suddenly an abatement of pregnancy symptoms. And so I went into that appointment feeling fairly trepidatious. And I have a very clear memory of laying on that ultrasound table and putting my hand over my eyes just to block out the reality of the fact that there was no beat coming from that ultrasound screen. I was rushed right away into a DNC that afternoon and went from expecting to learn my baby's gender to coming home babyless in one day. Our little boy, Jet Elijah, was just gone. So within a week, I developed chronic pain all over my body. And on top of that, a nasty pneumonia. It took me months to recover from the pneumonia, and the pain did not recover. It continued. Doctors kept prescribing me Vicodin, like they did after the DNC, and running test after test that showed nothing. I became slowly dependent on painkillers and sank more and more into a deep depression. Stephanie and I were grieving differently. And although that's always partly the case because no two people grieve alike, in our case it was exaggerated by my increasing use of pain meds and the fact that Stephanie was the non-biological mother. People don't seem to realize that when a couple grieves a child loss, both parents are grieving and need support. It's especially difficult when they don't know what to call you. I was the mom, I had lost the baby, but here was another mom. And so I became very keenly aware of how we label ourselves and each other and how that influences how people react to grief. Although Stephanie and I continued to try and get pregnant after that miscarriage, we pulled out all the stops, all the way up through considering IVF. And finally, we decided to stop. So after a year, I knew that my fertility journey was done. Needless to say, my use of narcotics became a large problem that was unsustainable. And our relationship was severely damaged after all of the trauma of the loss. And in the end, Stephanie and I split. But we remain best friends to this very day, another very small rainbow in my life. I did go to rehab, and I was able to find my way back to myself. I spent a lot of time alone and made a lot of peace with my age and the idea that I would not have more kids. However, just when you know sort of what to expect from life, life has a sense of humor. I'm going to turn it over to my partner.
Renee and I started dating in 2018, 5 years after she had lost her son, Jet. It was a whirlwind romance, and we quickly started talking about our hopes and dreams together and what that would look like. I knew I always wanted children. Renee had explained her journey and sadly told me she could not give me a child, having given up on the dream of being a mother again. We looked into adoption, but for a queer mixed-race couple with an age over the average limit and significant financial barriers, it was out of the question. We felt pretty despairingly until I had an epiphany. As a trans person, I still had the body parts to make a baby. We began discussing trying to conceive for real. Renee said that she'd take it as seriously as I would, as it was my final call. Within a year, we had started this process with Generations Fertility Clinic. I wanted to talk now about the very specific barriers that queer folks and trans non-binary folks face in regard to attempting to have a baby. So first one is at many of my appointments, folks came out and called me by my dead name. I would cringe every time. We'd correct them, but they'd just do it again. The confused looks on medical providers' faces when they realized I was the one attempting to conceive. Throughout my process, providers insisted on calling me mom, and most published language does not account for gestational carriers who do not identify as women. I don't identify as the mother, but rather we use our own label, Poppy. Unlike a traditional couple, we had to go through a long process before starting the IUI process, including a psychological evaluation just to prove we deserved the chance. It's not always safe to be a mixed race, queer couple with a trans person trying to become a gestational carrier, and we worried about being found suitable parents. Fortunately, we did have a good experience. The associated costs are astronomical, despite the fact that our insurance covered a sliver of the medical procedures. We still had to save money and pursue the treatments and order sperm. Ordering sperm was difficult as we had very specific guidelines that were important to us. A Black CMV negative donor, who ideally was an open donor, is a needle in the haystack, but it was important that our child could meet the donor if they so chose someday. I scoured those sperm bank websites on a daily basis with a credit card in hand, ready to order. Starting in April of 21, we completed our first 2 rounds of IUI without any luck. On our 3rd try, we couldn't believe it. We had that positive test. We were scared to death knowing Renee's history and my mom's history. Still, things seemed to progress okay until our 12-week checkup when our doctor couldn't find the heartbeat. They said our sweet Charlie Lou had stopped growing at 8 weeks. We were completely and utterly devastated. We mourned for her lost life and for all the barriers we thought we had overcome in the IUI process. We did not have the privilege of having a baby in the traditional manner, and that made us both angry and bitter to see those around us seemingly having children left and right the traditional way. This required a DNC procedure. After the DNC, we decided to book an Airbnb at one of our most meaningful places in Lake Michigan. We went for a week. We spent time healing and releasing Charlie's remains into the great waters, which was given to us after our DNC. This was a huge help in our journey. Healing continues to take a long time, but we came back with some decisions to make. Though I was utterly grief-struck, I knew I wanted to try again right away. Renee was not so sure. The loss had been hard in a different way for her, but for both of us, we found a startling lack of support from friends and family, especially from Renee, who was still struggling with feeling estranged from our community. Still, Renee agreed that since we had 1 vial left, we would make one more attempt and see what the universe brought. Renee had zero faith that we would actually be successful again. But we were shocked to see that the second positive pregnancy test. Renee was in disbelief, and we were both very, very scared, yet hopeful. For the sake of time, I'll fast forward. After a stressful and worrisome pregnancy, 9 months later, I gave birth to Emerson Liu on January 17th of 2023. She was a perfectly healthy baby at birth and is now a very active, precocious, and hilarious 13-month-old. Stephanie, Renee's former partner, is now Emerson's godmother and is a very active part of our family. I went on to adopt Renee's other daughter, Noelle, and we feel our family, including our angels, Jet and Charlie, is complete. We know that not everyone gets their rainbow baby and want to acknowledge that you are seen and our hearts go out to you. Renee is going to do a couple poems.
Okay, so just to wrap up, I wanted to read 2 short poems. And these are both from books I've published. I meant to bring some books tonight to share at a table, but life had other plans. But I do have business cards, so if you're interested in my poetry, please do stop by. But this poem I wrote after I lost Jet, and it ended up being published in a big national magazine, and I was really grateful for the opportunity for advocacy. It's called An Insider's Guide to Surviving a Miscarriage. And there's some swearing. Does that mean I should not do that on YouTube? Okay. Okay. This is a list. 1, let someone bring you endless cups of peppermint or raspberry tea. Let sobs escape from between your spasming ribs like jumping billiards. Don't apologize for matted hair or the open graves of your 2 bruised eyes. Keep the lights off. Remember the small shoes tucked at the back of the closet. Give your baby a name. Whisper it in the dark over and over like a rosary. Don't say it was your fault. Don't answer when an aunt or cousin or coworker call. Fuck anyone who says you can always try again.
Woo!
Fuck anyone who says at least you weren't further along. Turn off the phone. Remember to recite your baby's name. Keep it on the tip of your tongue like honey to sweeten the tea. Never let the tea go cold. And then one last short poem is about our IUI journey. So I wanted to end with something having to do with our rainbow. And this has an epigraph. It says, I have always known that I would take this road, but yesterday I did not know that it would be today. And the poem is called I and You and I. We pull into the parking lot. You turn off the engine and heat builds to a boil in the closed cab, but neither of us move to open the doors. I cover your hand with mine and squeeze, and finally you turn your head towards mine, kiss me chastely, mouths closed in solemnity, hands clasped like timid kindergartners at a first day at school. We move towards the clinic entrance. The receptionist is kind, but no nonsense, directs us to wait for the nurse. The nurse comes out to the waiting room, calls out your dead name. I squeeze your hand harder. We follow back to the exam room where nurse chipperly explains the procedure as if we haven't researched and talked and dreamed of it for months. She asks us to confirm the donor number on the small white vial, waiting on the counter. She leaves. You undress from the waist down, leaving on your Captain America socks, climb atop the table and into the stirrups. The nurse practitioners enter. They chipperly explain the procedure, confirm the donor. You lie back on the table, covered in paper sheeting. A speculum slips inside, followed by a catheter. Lastly, the sample. I scan your face, pinched in discomfort. I am watching to see if you've left your body or if you are still with me. In 2 minutes, it's over. They give us instructions for testing, set a timer for 10 minutes, and leave. We chat falteringly, fall into silence, my head on your chest on the table. The timer goes off, and I help you get dressed. We head back to the car, hands vined tighter now, as if holding hope in our joined hands. Thank you.
Thank you again for sharing that story and that beautiful poetry, Renee. So the next thing we're going to do in the program is our Rainbow Baby Celebration. And again, I want to, as our speakers have said, preface this by knowing that many families don't get the rainbow. And so for some, this may be difficult and may not feel like something you want to celebrate. So I just ask you to take care of yourself and do what you need to do depending on how you receive the celebration of rainbow babies. I'll start with this phrasing here to kind of set some context. We've heard a little bit previously about what a rainbow baby is, but I like how this is described. It says, a rainbow baby is a baby born after a loss of a child. It is understood that the beauty of a rainbow does not negate the ravages of any storm. When a rainbow appears, it does not mean the storm never happened or that we are not still dealing with its aftermath. It means that something beautiful and full of light has appeared in the midst of the darkness and clouds. Storm clouds may still hover, but the rainbow provides a counterbalance of color, energy, and hope. Give it up for our rainbow babies. Thank you to everyone who shared their rainbows with us to help create that presentation. And for those who have rainbow babies that are not in that presentation, we celebrate you and all the rainbow babies out there as well. So next in our program, I am very excited to have the opportunity to share with you some of the amazing partner organizations that we have the privilege of working with. Just like a child it takes a village, I think it takes our village to do this work. And I have the most amazing village of people who run programs that serve different aspects of needs for families who experience loss. And so I've asked representatives from organizations that are attending here today to just share briefly a little bit about the work they do. I want to remind you that those of you who are in person, there are exhibit tables along the wall. You can check out, get more information, get resources, connect, whether it's for you or for someone you know. Encourage you to use the great resources we have available. We also have in our online silent auction, each of our partner organization is listed as an item where you can donate to them. So as you're hearing the great work that they're doing. If something speaks to you and you're like, I want to get behind that, you can do that with a click of a button in your app to make a donation to that organization. So I want to start by just sharing a little bit about a really great initiative that we recently started in Wisconsin called the Wisconsin Grief Collective. And this is a collective of many of the partner organizations that you're going to hear from tonight, where we are working to try to figure out how we can work better together so we can support all who grieve and make sure we're filling the gaps in services and supports that are available, but also working on bigger things collectively, like advocacy and policy changes to help support families, ensuring that community resources are widely available and made accessible to people. And so I'm honored to have the opportunity to co-found the Wisconsin Grief Collective with my good friend and partner in crime, Miss Felicia Turner-Walton, who is going to be our first partner you hear from, who is the founder of Healing Our Hearts. And then I just ask other partner organizations that are going to be presenting, if you want to just kind of line up so we can just like get you one after another, that would be helpful just to help the flow.
Good evening, everyone. As Kim mentioned, my name is Felicia Turner-Walton. I am the founder and CEO of Healing Our Hearts Foundation, also the mother of Zaire. The mission of Healing Our Hearts is to provide families with education, support, and tools to move forward in the loss of a loved one. Our newest initiative is providing Black and Brown families with angel trees located on what we now call Angel Lane. These trees are located in Winnequa Park, also known as Dream Park in Monona, Wisconsin. This year we will continue, and so far we have 15 families who will be receiving trees. As Kim also mentioned, Healing Our Hearts, along with the Alana Rose Foundation and Amir's Angel, hosts our annual Empty Stroller Walk and Wave of Light each year on October 15th here in Madison at the Capitol. So please come out and celebrate, and you will see more information on both of our websites.
Next, I'd like to invite Michelle Schrader from Unity Point Health Meriter Pregnancy and Infant Loss Program.
Hello. For those I have not yet had a chance to meet, my name is Michelle Schrader. I am the Family Care Clinical Nurse Specialist for our birthing center at Unity Point Health Meriter Hospital, and I coordinate our pregnancy and infant loss program across all areas of our hospital. I had the privilege of coming to know Kim, Corey, Quentin, and Christian during their time at UPH Meriter in 2019 surrounding the loss of Alana Rose, and I'm thankful to stay connected while their journey of loss and hope, of healing and transformation, and of advocacy and education continues as we gather to remember and celebrate the 5th anniversary of Alana's birth to eternal life. I am privileged to be representing our perinatal loss care team of nurses, providers, nursing assistants and techs and aides, chaplains, social workers, and program support staff who are dedicated to offering families compassionate care during a time of profound pain and grief, and our UPH Meriter Foundation and community relations colleagues whose valuable partnership supports the care at the bedside and beyond. I would like to acknowledge those team members present this evening, each of whom brings a particular interest in and passion for this work. Corinda Rainey Moore is the Community Engagement Manager of our Community Relations Department, which has partnered with our Perinatal Services Division the last couple of years in wholeheartedly supporting sponsorship of this event. Lindsay Giese, who joined UPH Meriter in September of 2023 as the Director of Philanthropy, is representing the UPH Meriter Foundation. Lindsay has several close friends who have experienced difficulties becoming pregnant and/or miscarriages, in addition to a cousin whose baby was stillborn. Lindsay is accompanied by her friend, Brittany Kramer, who is co-owner of Vintage Brewing Company. Stephanie Barman has been our gynecology surgery nurse coordinator for a number of years and is here tonight representing our preoperative, operating room, and postoperative staff. Functioning as a resource for her coworkers while guiding families experiencing early pregnancy loss through surgical procedures on perhaps one of the scariest and saddest days of their lives is a privilege that Steph holds sacred. We at Meritor are incredibly fortunate to have someone of her expertise, sensitivity, and passion available to both families and coworkers. And she is accompanied by her husband, Jeff Nowak. Alana Fry has been with Meritor since 2019, joined our labor and delivery unit 1 year ago, and is representing our labor and delivery nurses. She routinely cares for families experiencing perinatal loss, has close family members who have experienced a stillbirth, and is inspired by her Aunt Michelle, who has a passion for helping families navigate perinatal loss. Prior to becoming a nurse 2.5 years ago, Amanda Husk was the volunteer and employee engagement coordinator for A Grace Hospice. That job laid the foundation for her understanding of what it means to work with an interdisciplinary team in holistically caring for patients and their families during a very tender time of transition. She switched careers to nursing, where her first, to date only, nursing job is on our postpartum unit, whose staff she is here representing this evening. Amanda recently received our hospital's Daisy Honoree Award via a nomination story submitted by a family whom she tenderly and expertly cared for during their experience of perinatal loss. As everyone here tonight knows, perinatal loss touches so many people in so many ways, on so many levels, both personally and professionally. We at UPH Meritor continue to be inspired by and grateful for the opportunity to partner with the Whitmores and the Alana Rose Foundation in doing what we can to ease the journey while accompanying those experiencing a pregnancy or infant loss. As Kim had referred to earlier, the addition of a second cuddle cot a few years back through the generosity of the Alana Rose Foundation made it possible for us to offer cuddle cot care to more than one family at a time. As the state's largest birthing center, with just under 5,000 babies born in 2023, we are deeply grateful for this. And of note, we've recently begun efforts to reinvigorate an interdisciplinary, across units, perinatal loss resource group, which each of the 3 nurses here with us this evening are a part of, to expand the care and support we offer to patients, their families, and our staff surrounding perinatal loss experiences. I am thankful for the opportunity to honor Alana and her family, who continue to so generously open their hearts to help others experiencing a pregnancy or infant loss. To Kim and Corey, to Quentin and Christian, and Alana, please know how deeply we at Unity Point Health Meritor are grateful for you, for your work to make a difference for families experiencing a pregnancy or infant loss, and for your partnership and support of our pregnancy and infant loss program. We wish you and all those whose lives you are touching continued health, wholeness, and healing on the transformation journey. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you.
Oh, right. Thank you, Michelle. Next up, we have Bereaved Parents of Madison, Jennifer Klug, and on deck is Star Legacy Foundation.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Kluge. I'm a treasurer for Bereaved Parents of Madison and the co-facilitator of our support group. Bereaved Parents of Madison is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. It's a peer-led group. It's all volunteer. All parents who've experienced loss who hold a monthly support group in person. And we also have an online Facebook group that provides support for families. And we also do special programs and events to help families cope with loss. When I experienced loss in 2014 of our daughter, it was literally a lifesaver to have this group. And some of my best friends that I have today have come out of that as well. So we're really an important resource for families following the loss. We also have Hugs volunteers that go to hospitals and are bedside volunteers who help families dealing with loss. And they follow up with families for a year afterwards, as it's a family-led experience. So whatever the family needs, the frequency and types of communication helpful to that family. And we go to all the Madison hospitals. So thank you.
Next up is Star Legacy Foundation, and on deck is Amir's Angels.
Hi, everyone. My name is Casey. I am Family Support Specialist with Star Legacy Foundation. Star Legacy is a nonprofit, and we are dedicated to help support families and provide resources and support to those families who have had the unfortunate loss of their baby during infancy or pregnancy. A loss is a loss is a loss, and we want to support them in any way that we can. We have anything from support groups to peer companions, all available to families and their extended families as well. We have a lot of education and brochures available in a lot of different languages to try to help educate and provide those resources to everyone. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Jasmine Jones, and on deck is the Marigold Foundation.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? My name is Jasmine Jones, and I am the founder of Amir's Angels Doula Services. I founded it in 2022. Amir's Angels is named after my late infant son, Amir, who was born and passed in 2013. When I got pregnant in 2019 with my son, David, who is now 4, I experienced, I forgot who said, but Rebecca, when she mentioned once you have a baby, the love that you have for that first baby continues on into the next rainbow. And also you have those triggers in those weeks. Those are the longest 40 weeks. So 20 weeks is when I found out I was contracting early with Amir, and I had a kind of a mental breakdown when I was pregnant with David. I wasn't contracting, but I just had that trigger that something could happen. And so a friend of mine had told me to look into getting a doula, and I didn't know what that was. And this was 2019. And she had manifested that once she decided to have a baby, that I would then be her doula. And I was. She was my second birth that I did when I became a doula. So I became a doula to help combat the high mortality rate with Black and brown birthing persons. And although my focus point is Black and brown birthing persons, I do not discriminate. I support every birthing person. I believe that Black and brown birthing persons need a doula, but every birthing person deserves a doula. So that is my majority of what I do with Amir's Angels, but I also partner with Healing Our Hearts and the Alana Rose Foundation with the Empty Stroller Walk as I came into my work from infant loss. So those are some things about Amir's Angels. Thank you all for coming to the Butterfly Ball.
Next up is the Marigold Foundation, and on deck is Reimagining Full Spectrum Doula Services.
Thank you, Kim. My name is Helen Werner, and I am the co-founder and president of the Marigold Foundation. My husband, Zach, and I founded the Marigold Foundation in 2019 in honor of 2 of our 4 sons, Theodore and Holden. In 2016, I was a graduate student, and we had a 2.5-year-old son, William, when I went into preterm labor with Theodore and Holden, twin boys. Theodore lived for 30 minutes, and Holden was stillborn. The next year, in 2017, we had our rainbow, Hugo. In 2019, we decided that we wanted to give back to our community and support families financially. And so the Marigold Foundation is a way for us to support bereaved families and families that are seeking treatment for a complex pregnancy and give them financial grants to help them. We prioritize applications for families of color as we know that they are disproportionately affected by preterm birth and infant loss. But any family in Southwest Wisconsin who is either seeking treatment for a pregnant person or their baby, or who has recently lost a pregnancy or infant, is welcome to apply for a one-time grant that has no strings attached, so that we can help them with their hospital bills, with their funeral costs, or with just living day to day, so that money is something they don't have to think about. So thank you to Kim very much for inviting me to speak today, and I would appreciate it if everyone would check out the marigoldfoundation.org. Thank you.
Next up, reimagining full spectrum doula services, and on deck is the Mother's Milk Bank of the Western Great Lakes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chandra Lewis. I'm actually here kind of in a dual capacity. My day job, I'm the Director of Doula Services for Harambe and Birth and Family Center. And at Harambe Birth and Family Center, we are an organization that is dedicated to providing culturally competent doula services to birthing individuals and families here in our Dane County community. About 85% of the clients that we serve at Harambe are either on Medicaid or Medicaid eligible, and that other 15 to 10% of clients that we serve are actually able to afford a doula and pay for those private doula services. Our focus is on supporting marginalized communities. We offer that physical, emotional, and informational support that they need. So, as a parent of loss, I lost my daughter Adonaya in 2009. Adonaya was born still. And in her honor, my husband has been graciously supporting me as I founded Reimagining Full Spectrum Doula Services. Reimagining Full Spectrum Doula Services is a progressive initiative that goes beyond traditional doula support. We strive to provide comprehensive care for individuals across the entire spectrum of reproductive experiences. We strive to support birth, miscarriage, abortion, postpartum, whether you identifying, whether you are having a trans experience, whether you are non-binary. Every birthing person deserves dignity of care. They deserve a choice, and they deserve the full spectrum of reproductive justice. So at Reimagining Full Spectrum Doula Services, we do offer birth support. We offer culturally competent and culturally relevant childbirth education, because everyone doesn't learn the same. And it comes a little bit different when it's someone that looks like you. We partner with Healing Our Hearts to provide grief support as well for parents that are experiencing pregnancy or infant loss. And we offer a compassionate environment for all aspects of reproductive health. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandra. Next up is Mother's Milk Bank of the Western Great Lakes, and on deck is Russell Family Doula Services.
Hi, my name is Susan. I'm with the Mother's Milk Bank of the Western Great Lakes. We are a nonprofit organization. We collect milk from families who either have an abundance or who have some other reason why they're not able to utilize that maternal milk. And I'm here today largely to tell everyone about the Poppy's Dream Bereavement Milk Donation Memorial Program. We are in Elk Grove Village, Illinois, but we serve all of Wisconsin and all of Illinois. And families are welcome to travel to our candle lighting ceremony every year, or for private events where they can come and place hand-painted stars on the memorial wall in our lobby. I'm also really happy to see Meritor here today. That's one of the hospitals that we work with. The milk that we collect is primarily sent to hospitals for use in the NICU, but now it's also being used in other units as well. So cardiac units, pediatric intensive care units, any place where a baby can be struggling with a nutrition plan, donor milk can be a really great option for those families. And we also have outpatient programs. So there's a whole range of what we do. So if anyone has any questions, come find me. I will be here all night. So thank you.
Next up is Tracy on deck as Project Bubbaloo.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, I was a little bit taken off guard, so bear with me. I'm gonna go from just who I am, and no notes was quite prepared, but I do welcome you to come over and look at a table I do have. I am Tracy Russell, Russell Family Doula Services, full spectrum doula. I have oftentimes people ask me, what does that mean? So I like to generously say that it encompasses the whole embodiment of what I do in reference to the care of everyone that wants to postpartum, birth, grief, that so many of us, and thank you for this. Getting emotional because this is my first time here, and I wanted to, for those of us who've experienced loss in any way, you never get over it. You're always healing. I just said that at the table. It's a process. Each day, each year, each minute brings up something different to that. And so as I've supported birthing persons in this work, and then had my own losses, had them to experience loss, I wanted to be able, because once you build that bond in that relationship, I wanted to be able to support them holistically in anything that may happen. And so that's what coded me in becoming a full spectrum doula. So I welcome you to come and talk to me, come and reach out to me, and learn about what I do. Thank you.
Next up is Project Bubbaloo, and on deck is Light of Love Coaching.
Hello. I don't know about you guys, but that party sounds like popping next door.
Our time's coming soon.
No, yeah, I know. We should just open so my name's Callie Churup. I run Project Bubble. Well, I am also a Marquette professor with Kim here, so that's how we got to know each other. I run Project Bubbaloo, co-founded it with my sister, who's here with me today. We're a Milwaukee-based nonprofit raising money for congenital heart disease research. For those of you that don't know what congenital means, it means born with. So children born with heart defects. It is the number one defect. Most common defect in children, affecting 40,000 children every year. 25% of those children need open heart surgery within the first year of life to survive. And congenital heart disease is the number one cause of birth defect related deaths in infants. And one of those was my son, Theo. Theo was born in 2017 and lived for 6 months. And when I hear stories of loss, like Kim's and some of the people in the room, I'm so grateful that I got 6 months with my son. But he lived and died in a hospital. And that's still hard for me to grapple with, and knowing that he just lived a life of pain and surgery. And so we started Project Bubbaloo after knowing that we had to take something from this pain and do something with it and try to bring as much positivity to the world as we can. And we dedicated our time and our lives really to raise money for this very, very common disease that kills too many children. And to date, we've raised over $600,000 for our mission. We have two large fundraisers in the Milwaukee area. One of them is a beer tasting happening this April. We have 15 breweries coming. It's called Hops for Hearts. We'd love to have any of you. It's a big event. Over 600 people will be there, and lots of dancing and fun. in order to raise money for a research grant. We were able to fund $90,000 worth of research this past year at Children's Wisconsin. And then also we've now broken off and have funded in Chicago at Lurie's Children's Hospital down there. So we're expanding, and that's very exciting. And it's very exciting to be in the up and coming so that no child or person quality or quantity is affected by their congenital heart disease. So thank you.
All right, next up is Michelle, and on deck is Bereaved Together.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks everyone for being here. Michelle Vandehay with Light of Love Coaching. I'm a little bit different from everyone else where I actually focus on helping leaders and teams of nonprofits and mission-driven organizations. After working with bereaved moms for several years and working with organizational leaders, I found out that they really need the support just as much as everyone else. And so my goal is to help them prioritize themselves so you can continue to power your mission, because without prioritizing yourself, you're not able to continue to do the work that's so important, that is so needed. So I love how Kim is always lifting up other organizations, and it's just so amazing that at this fundraiser that she's letting so many people speak about what they do, because I think that's just so important. So thank you, Kim, for having me. And if you'd like, I have stickers over at my table. They either say I am worth it or you are worth it. You can put them on your water bottles or wherever you'd like. So feel free to go grab one. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
And last but not least, Miss Lisa Price.
Thank you so much, Kim, and happy early birthday to Alana. Just like Michelle said, thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to share. My name is Lisa Price. I am the co-founder and president of Bereaved Together, a newly formed nonprofit last November of 22. Originally, I started off as a life coach for bereaved moms after the death of my daughter, Ari, in 2017. I became a life coach and created an online platform for bereaved moms, did group coaching every single Monday since December of 2019, and just kind of found myself getting burnt out and needed a shift. And I knew that there was support out there, and became a nonprofit with my girlfriend, who actually lost her husband the year after we lost our daughter. Unfortunately, after a year of being a nonprofit, it was very overwhelming for her, a mother of three. So she has stepped down. So right now we're kind of in this transition, but that doesn't mean we are not supporting people anymore. So Bereaved Together, basically our mission is to provide overall wellness-based resources and community opportunities for bereaved individuals, as well as their support networks. So mainly now we will be working with bereaved parents again. We were working with widows and widowers as well. But like I said, we're kind of transitioning out of that. But our overall goal really is to take bereavement and not make it about so much the death anymore, but living our lives. I've always said, by honoring my life, I am honoring my daughter's life. And I feel that is so true for everybody in this room if you've experienced loss. We can't do this alone, and we don't do this alone. So again, community is so important. And we really focus just on taking care of yourself and doing so in a very supportive community. So one of our upcoming events is our Bereaved Mother's Day Conference. This is actually our 5th annual one, coming up in May. We have information over there. We would love to have sponsors. We would love to see all sorts of moms there. It is a paid event, but we do offer scholarships to those who financially are burdened, just finding themselves in a financial hardship after loss. We do have Date with Grief, which is a couples night out in the fall. We just had our first Brave Grief Social Hearts on Fire last Sunday, where we did a yoga exercise. We had an emotional wellness speaker come in and work with the kids that were there. We had a meal together.
So just a lot of different various events. We have a support group for bereaved parents on Facebook. There's about 600 of us on there that we post every single day, just really focusing on living your life after the loss of a child. So any opportunity I get to speak about my daughter, and like Kim said, this is how we parent our child, is through these organizations or through the connections that we make. Just even a conversation with another bereaved mom or dad, it's a gift to me. So I really do appreciate the time speaking to any of you in here and all of you here. It's a privilege and a gift. So thank you.
So a reminder that you can visit the booths, you can go on the silent auction and donate to any of those organizations. And you also have the opportunity to give to the Alana Rose Foundation and support the work that we do through the Wisconsin Grief Collective in collaboration with these partners. So if you have a cell phone, which I know all of you do, now's a good time to get it out. You can text Alana Rose Foundation to the number listed on this slide and give either a one-time or a recurring donation in any amount. So how many of y'all love Starbucks like me? Yes. So think about if you just took the cost of one of those lattes a week and instead gave $20 a month to the Alana Rose Foundation. So if you put in perspective like that, is it worth a cup of coffee a week to support all of these organizations and the work that we're doing in our communities to support healers? So really encourage you to give, if and when you can, give generously to support this work. And we're going to be having our candlelight moment of remembrance really quickly here, a very special part of our program, and then we'll wrap up so that we can start competing with the party next door, because we're going to have way more fun than them, I'm just saying. And they're going to be like, what is happening over there? Because we're going to blast them out. So just a few more minutes. Appreciate you guys hanging in with us here. So next is, again, a very special part of our program, our candlelight moment of remembrance. So in the check-in process, if you're in person, you were given a little candle that you can turn on. If you need more, we do have a couple extra in the basket. Raise your hand, and my beautiful friend Rosie here can bring you a candle. Raise your hand. I see a few hands over there. So you can go ahead and turn those on while I introduce the song that's going to be played for our candlelight moment of remembrance. Shekinah King, for those of you who've been to balls before, is a staple in the work we do in the Alana Rose Foundation. She is a local singer-songwriter who is ridiculously talented and always gives back and supports us. Unfortunately, she was not able to be here today this year. She's devastated. I'm devastated. But we're still blessed to be able to share her music with all of you today. The song that's going to be played while we do our candlelight moment of remembrance is a special song that Shekinah wrote for the Alana Rose Foundation to help raise awareness about pregnancy and infant loss. To me, as a bereaved mom, it's the only song I've listened to that actually feels like how I feel. And so I encourage you to listen to the words that she shares in her song, enjoy the beauty of her voice, and take a moment to honor and celebrate all of our angel babies that are not here with us today. This is Angel Baby by Shekinah King.
Arms, they ache to hold you. My heart can never know. Imagining what you would have been and how you'd grow. Memories that never existed. I could have never predicted that your name would be on my heart. Thinking about what you might have been, thinking about what you could have been. All of these questions and wondering why. Forever you're frozen in my mind, my angel, baby. You grew under my heart for such a little time, and thinking about what you might have been, thinking about what you could have been. All of these questions, I'm wondering why. Forever you're frozen in my mind, my angel, baby. You left footprints on my heart and handprints on my soul, my little baby, my little love. You left footprints on my heart and handprints on my soul, my little baby, my little love. You're my little love. Thinking about what you might have been, thinking about what you could have been. All of these questions, I'm wondering why. Forever you're frozen in my mind, trapped in a moment for all time, my angel, baby. You're my angel, baby.
Thank you for honoring all of our angel babies. If your baby was not on that list and you'd like them to be, we encourage you to fill out our survey on our website to be added to our online angel butterfly display that's up year-round and then used to honor and recognize babies at all of our events throughout the year. You can do that through our website at the link listed on our slide here. So this night is coming to a close, and so I wanted to make sure we end by giving lots of thank yous to everyone who helped make this possible. So first and foremost, a shout out to the Madison Concourse Hotel. This is our 5th year hosting the ball here. They are phenomenal to work with. The food is amazing. It's a beautiful place. So grateful for their continued support and partnership. Nothing Bunt Cakes, who donated their amazing bunttinis that are waiting for all of you in the room to go eat now after we're done over in the corner. And they are just a generous support of ours. Hy-Vee, who donated from their floral department the beautiful centerpieces you see in the room today. Our 2 photographers, Little Frog Photography and Birth and Life Stories with Jess, for helping to take pictures on the purple carpet here in person. Those will be posted on our website and available for you for free. Uncle Jamie, my brother, who is the incredible human who created the backdrop that the photos are being taken on today. Sun Prairie Jazz Ensemble for their live performance during our cocktail hour. Shekinah King, who is here with us in spirit, and her song for gifting that to us. And my husband, who is the owner of Media 22, who is running all the AV media and live stream for those of you back at home. Can we just give a shout out to my husband? This man, quietly in the background, supporting everything I do wholeheartedly. I couldn't do it without you. I love you. Beatrix Babysitting, who is supervising the epic kids party that is happening across the hall. So we may need to check them out afterwards, so we appreciate them keeping our kids safe. Radiant Smiles, who's doing face painting to the kids, so those kids are gonna come back transformed into butterflies. Metro Market for their donation of the balloons that you see all over the place. The data slides, again, thank you to Public Health Madison and Dane for putting those together. All the people and organizations that donated to our silent auction, donated tickets for bereaved parents to be here tonight to celebrate this special evening. For people who donated bottles for our bottle pull and purchased things off our Amazon wishlist donor, we are so grateful. Your support helps us not have to spend a lot of money on this. So we can maximize what we raise to support the mission of our work. A shout out to my amazing foundation, board of directors, and the planning committee. Give it up for the planning committee people who are here today for helping run things today and do the planning year round. And a special shout out this year to Intentional Purpose Consulting, who is helping to support this event as well. They've been phenomenal to work with, and we're so grateful for you. So give it up for them. And then last but not least, thank you to our generous sponsors. First, Unity Point Health Meritor as our Purple Emperor Butterfly sponsorship. Meritor will always have a special place in my heart, and I'm so grateful. On Friday, I got to drop off Alana's birthday treat to all the nurses, and it's just such a great thing I look forward to every year, being able to celebrate with them. The nursing team, especially at Meritor, helped us in our darkest days of our life, and I wrote in her obituary, the family would like to thank the amazing staff at Unity Point Health Meritor for the incredible care provided to Alana, Kim, and the entire family. While there was no way to save Alana, the doctors saved Kim's life and the nurses saved her soul. And that is so true. I would not be here as whole as I am without the support I got in those first minutes, hours, and days after losing my daughter. Crest Funeral and Cremation Services, our Queen Butterfly sponsor, they also provided the tissues that many of you are crying in today that I could really use right now. So I'm eager to get back to my table for that. My amazing parents, Ken and Rose Nelson, Alana's grandparents, for their support. Summit Credit Union, who is also a Pink Rose Butterfly support. UW Health, Intentional Purpose Consulting. All of these organizations have given their time and money to support us. So please give your time and money to them and pay that back and let them know you appreciate the support they give to the community and organizations like ours. We want to thank all the partners that are here. Again, a reminder to check out their tables. And then we also have our Angel Butterfly Memorial sponsors. So these are individuals who wanted to elevate and raise up their babies with us today. So we have Nyla Noel Locke, daughter of Mike and Brianna, remembering Nyla with their family. We have Michaela Grace and Chase Gabriel. We have Sophie Jean. We have Fiona, Rosemary, and Alice, Adanasia, Janai, Zaire, and of course, Alana Rose. We're going to end with a special song from Shekinah King. Again, she wished she could be in here in person, but we're grateful to have this recording to share with you today.
Somewhere over the rainbow and way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Dreams you dare to dream of really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles land like lemon drops way up above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles mount like lemon drops way up above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow,
panicking. And lastly, thank all of you. Thank you for being here tonight. Thanks for those who are listening online, those who are here in spirit with us. We cannot do this work without you. So now comes that weird, awkward transition from being sad and crying about all of our babies not being here to drinking butterfly martinis, dancing on the dance floor, throwing our dollar bills in the air to support a great cause. So we want you to, again, remember the silent auction closes at 9, so get your bids in. We're going to be drawing for the 50-50 shortly after that. So if you don't have your 50-50 raffle tickets, get those now. We also have Kendra Scott in the house, who is going to be doing a give back event. So if you want a good excuse to buy amazing jewelry, 20% of the proceeds will be donated to us, including some incredible butterfly jewelry that's very thematically appropriate. And then again, remember that you can always text to give anytime that amount for that Starbucks to help support the work that we do collectively in the community. And finally, save the date for our 6th annual Butterfly Ball, which will be back here at the Concourse next February, the 22nd in 2025. Thank you all so much for being here, and let's get the party started.